Good morning. All right, guys. Merry Christmas weekend to you guys. Today it's going to be a low volume day. This is perhaps the lowest volume day of the entire year. People have started their vacations and they're not coming back to the market for these two in between days to wrap up this week. Next week, it's going to be somewhat similar. This is where the idea of a Christmas rally normally comes from, is that the market can kind of go either direction. It can go up or down in a low volume day, which doesn't necessarily reflect the overall market sentiment. It just sort of reflects who showed up to do some early buying or some early selling. I'm going to take some time. I've got Michael with me in the house, Mr.
Good morning.
AKA Spy Lord. Good morning, Michael. How are you?
Good morning. Doing very well. Thank you
We
for having me this morning.
we are going to keep an eye on the spy, and why don't we go to that? Michael, you were in the middle of a show, and then you joined me on my show. What
Yeah,
was
I was
some of
just
your
about to start.
levels?
I hadn't started yet. I really wanted to. I'd like to clear 600. Um, I had. Let's see here if I can find my.
You want me to share your screen?
You. Yeah, you can if you want to, and I might. I think I had over 602.20 for sort of a safer bet. But I think if we could start clearing 600, I would be interested in calls there. And let me find my window to share. Is that it?
Man, that spy just popped right up. At the moment,
Popped
it's
right
got a
up.
little bit of rejection. Now your chart's
Mhm.
up. Guys, we're going to go over some basics of trading for everybody today, just sort of basic underlining ideas of setting up a trade, understanding some basic structure, um, timing in the market. Of course, we're going to cover a little bit of risk. Yeah, we got a little pop going on the spy.
Mhm. This 600 level is a huge psychological level also. So I think that's just a big even round number like that is always a psychological level to get through, and we're starting to clear it now.
Yeah. So if you guys recall from, I mean, if you look at something I drew here, we already this morning and yesterday sort of broke out of this ascending wedge, which is kind of bearish. Now we're moving sideways. Now this
Hmm.
wedge could be changed. It's not like a historic wedge. It just covers the last couple of days. I mean, I could end up having to come back here and adjust this line and pull it down. You know, we can end up finding that we're still in a range and we're just slowly making our way back up to the top of it until we test 606. Having said that, it's technically possible if we were to go by these two lines already that we broke out of it already and we're moving sideways. And then if we come back and break beneath this 200-day EMA, that we end up, going on a little bit of a descent. One of the biggest things I tried not to do is to create a bias. So those are two
Yes.
possible paths. We're either in this wedge right now and we are just moving slowly back to 606, which could take us another 2 days where we
Yeah.
basically retest the top and then break higher. Or, we are already outside the wedge this morning. We just don't know it yet.
Yeah.
But let's see here. So right now, the market has made two attempts, but I'm going to go through, Michael. If you got anything that you want to contribute, just shout it out because I want to
Yeah.
do trade setup, but I also want to see if we can get an active trade going. So,
Yeah. I
all right,
was totally looking at my other chart a minute ago. I was sitting here doing stuff on a Weeble, and I had my trading view pulled up after I realized. I said, "Oh my God!" So, anyways, 600 was the big level. I think we've got to clear. And as these first three candles are moving the way Josh teaches us to set up our morning structure, I'm taking, like, this is a green candle, so I'm going to set a horizontal line where this green candle closes on top of it because we're on a green candle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be the first point of our structure for the morning so far. And as it moves up and down on these first three candles, we're going to mark the high and the low, and that's going to be our morning structure. And that's how Josh has been teaching us, and I love it. It's a good foundation to build on.
Yep. NVIDIA's got a little move going on here. Um,
Okay, I had that marked. Okay, it almost come up to 141, didn't it?
right now we got Michael's screen up. We're going to keep his screen up just for a moment. I think that right now it looks to me like NVIDIA has the momentum to test 142 to the upside. I don't really see it getting rejected at the moment, but it's got to get above 141. 141. I mean, technically, it is getting rejected at 141, but if it can if
Yeah.
it can close a 5-minute candle above 141, that's pretty bullish. But my issue with NVIDIA is I'm not entirely convinced of the amount of room that it has to run. So I don't know, like Tesla, you catch it at the right spot, it'll go $20. Right now, NVIDIA has been largely range bound. So you catch it at 141, which should be a breakout spot. We might get $1. We might get $2. So those are my
Yes.
only. I almost was reluctant to even put it on the trade setup sheet this morning. It's just that I've been trading it, and I think that NVIDIA right now is looking great. They're never. The bottom line with NVIDIA is that above 132. It's in the hands of the bulls. 140.
Yeah.
The bulls are in charge of it. It's only when it really fell beneath 132 that the bears would have complete dominance. And it didn't. It did that briefly, and it's done that in the past where it comes back. All right, let's. I'm going to go in a little bit. SPY seems to be building on top of VWAP right now, so
Yes.
that's pretty good. All right, we're going to go through. I'm going to pop open my screen. Michael, if you see, let's see, I'm going to put all right, so here we go. Were you thinking 600?
Yeah, I was thinking 600.
We don't,
Don't really have the confirmation of it yet, but it's trying to get above VWAP.
all right, well, we are
Trying to
bouncing
stay
off.
above trying to stay above VWAP. I'm sorry.
All right, well, we'll give it 15 minutes because we want to give that time frame in. So I'm going to take people to my chart. I'm going to start building. We're going to go through the basics.
Yep.
This whole video today isn't for the pro traders. This video is for those who are trying to build and lay their foundation. So you're going to take, we're going to set up 3 structures. Michael's talking about this. This is not, there's no foolproof plan on Wall Street. So if you think there is, then I'm telling you, you're going to lose some money. I have a family member now, I don't want to say not a close family member, but one that I don't talk to a lot, right? So they're my blood relative, but I don't talk with them very much. And they had been following me on YouTube and decided to jump in and join the Discord and wanted to try to learn on Wall Street. And I gave them sort of a family discount in the Discord and welcomed aboard. And I warned them right off the bat, watch out for scammers. And hadn't heard much from them. Turned them over to my admin and said, please make sure this person gets set up, make sure that they're connected. Long story short, somewhere along their journey, they got a Josh scammer. And even though they've got my phone number and they could call me and say, hey, Josh, I got this message. I don't know. I basically they gave that person all their money. This is a blood relative of mine. And on Christmas Eve, they're like, hey, man, I need some of that money back. And I'm like, I knew the minute they said that, I was like, who'd you give your money to? It's like, it's really sad. All right. So we're above 600. We're only 10 minutes in. We don't have our full 15 minutes yet. Don't get too stressed by all the lines and on the chart here. We are looking for daily trend, right? And it's possible we can miss some price action by giving it a minute to establish trend. And one of the very first things I want to kind of explain to you is that there's there's what's referred to as a 10 a.m. rule. Okay. The 10 a.m. rule is basically the idea that the trend for the day is going to be set after the first half hour. Okay. So
Yeah.
the first half hour, you're going to get just sort of a high volume tug of war moment. So it's like, it's kind of like this idea. Like if you could imagine a literal, actual tug of war. Have you guys ever participated one in high school or, whenever you might have did it? The first 30 minutes, everybody is filled with strength. And so it's going to be the hardest at the start. But right away, it all comes down to endurance, and people are going to begin to fade. And one team or the other begins to show dominance from that point forward, and they just slowly drag the other team across the finish line. That's sort of the way Wall Street is as well. The first 30 minutes of the day, the Bulls and the Bears both show up, with high intensity, but normally one of the parties fades out quickly and the other one establishes the trend from that point forward. And so one of the reasons why we wait a minimum of 15 minutes, we're not even giving it the full 30 minutes, okay? Getting in early is just to give it the first 15 minutes. And if you wanted to be more specific, the first 5 minutes can be the fastest moving part of the day. And you can do momentum trading off the first 5 minutes, and you could make your entire bag for the day. But for the most part, after, trading for 20 years, that's also where you're going to get the majority of your false signals. It's where you're going to make the majority of your mistakes. And it's the very hardest to trade. And I would say you got to leave that first 5 minutes largely to people that are just, max pros, and they're willing to make or lose, $20,000 in the first 5 minutes of the day. But if you are trying to build your journey, you'll want to let a couple candles go by to begin to let the market figure out what the trend is, because the trend is what I want. When you can get the trend
Yes.
correctly, then you can just kind of pile in incrementally throughout the day, building your position while the trend just pays. And today, we don't know what today is going to be like. Today could be a sideways moving day. Sideways moving days are not profitable. You get little scalps. You get 10%. You get maybe 15 to 20% if you're lucky. But a trending day, you'll make yesterday, depending on which options, or not yesterday, but Tuesday, depending on which options
Yeah.
you chose, you could have gotten 500% off of Tuesday's move, based on the fact that it trended strong all throughout the day. So you want to get the trend. The trend is usually set after the first half hour. That's basically the 10 a.m. rule. All right, let's go look at our chart. And Michael, I'm going to task you that as I do some teaching this morning, that you
Yep.
say, hey, I feel like we got a trend going.
I got you.
Okay.
Josh, on the 1 hour, if you zoom out a little bit on the 1 hour on the spike, if we keep getting rejected here, is this a possible head and shoulders
Oh, yeah.
pattern to
Oh,
you?
for sure. I mean, this is what I warned about in
Yeah.
my last week's video. I mean, this is the worst case scenario. That's why I said that getting above 600 was our first assignment going into
Mhm.
Thursday. Closing the week above 606 was the only way that the Bulls would be back in charge. But here it is. This is your left shoulder. This is your head. And right now we are in our right shoulder. And let me just tell you guys, if we drop beneath this 598.70, and I don't know, what did I have marked on my chart? Let's go back and look. Yeah, 597.80. So yeah, basically 598. If we drop beneath 598 and we're beneath on the 1 hour this 200 EMA, this is going to get ugly. And I mean, it's going to be the first target. Let me just give you the neckline. There's your neckline. So yeah, if we roll over here, and we might just spend the day doing this. We might not get a clear picture today. It's going to be today or tomorrow. We have to get above 606. If we end up closing beneath this 597, I'm expecting a strong capitulation move back to 584. And really, to be honest with you, if we get a confirmation beneath that we'll say 582. All right, we're going to end up with a confirmed move that's going to be the distance of, and this has been the main point of the video. It's not that I know or think it's bearish right now. I don't want to have a bias, but I also don't want to come into the end of the year where we've had 2 years straight of plus 20% growth in the SPY and just go in it, with no hesitation. So this
Hey
would put us
Josh,
back, yes, to
where's
559.
the link at for the video right now? I think a few people have trouble finding it.
The link is in the my general area under live streams, but it's also in the VIP section.
VIP live trade.
No. So it's in two places. It's in my
I'm sorry.
my section. So if you go to my section, let me just pop it up.
Mm,
Give me a minute. If you go to
uh-huh.
my section, you got Josh setups, go to alerts,
Yeah,
3K, and then live streams. It's in that live
live
streams
streams.
folder.
Gotcha.
And then let me see. Oh, and also it was put in freshman class, I believe. Let me go. It wasn't put in VIP. Let me go look real quick.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, the other place it was put is freshman class because we're going to get into basics today. Strong basics. Thank you, Michael, for taking a minute to
Yeah.
help people out.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Yep.
Are these recorded for us in the Discord? I'd like to go back to the basics that I missed. Lady Val, this is going to be one of the first basics. I do cover basics quite a bit, but I hope that as we get into this, we're going to get into more of the basics for people. So yeah, just wrapping up what I said, the market is at all-time highs, 2 years straight above 20%. The market's strong. The overall trend is bullish, but as we entered into the end of this year, and we saw that NVIDIA didn't hit 160. NVIDIA is not doing bad right now. And we might even test 147. But seeing that the market did not just go all in on NVIDIA, which is the AI story, and we've seen other companies sort of suffering in that sector, it gave us the idea that we could be slowing down and we needed to be cautious. And I'd rather go into the end of this year cautious after being a 2-year bull. I've been a bull for 2 years. I mean, I literally said, buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. July, August, September, October. There was no dip in November, and I said there wouldn't be a dip in November. But I said, guys, okay, now it's time to slow down. And if I miss a little bit of the price action between 585 and 608, that's okay with me. Once we get back above 608, I'm going to load back up and just keep going higher with the markets. But at the moment, yes, there's an ominous head and shoulders pattern, and we're in a place of indecision on a week that traditionally has very low volume. And so it was time for me to slow down. All right, let's take a step back. Let me clean this up and we'll go back to the basics. Well, while we're here, let's just cover something that has to be covered on the 1 hour. So one of the basics for doing your daily trade setups regarding calls and puts is to take a minute and look at the 1 hour MACD. Okay, you want to look at the 1 hour MACD and the RSI, and it's very, very simple. So if we pull this up, so we're looking at the 1 hour time frame. Above us is the SPY. This is a basic test, and it's not mine. It's been around for a long time, and any analyst would tell you, don't
SPY
be.
looking strong here, Josh. SPY looking strong here.
All
You
righty.
want to
Well,
look
let's.
at it.
All right, we're gonna come back to that. Let's see if we can get a trade in this morning. All right, let's see here. Get in on the 5-minute chart.
Depending on where this candle closes.
All right,
Got about a minute left on this candle.
All right, I'm going to turn off some of these for the time being. We're going to look at our daily trade setups. All right, first structure is your pre-market. That's the one that I've got marked with the 1. It shows you the top of pre-market and the bottom of pre-market. The second structure is going to be morning market, and that's going to be marked by 2. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to select the body of the first 3 5-minute candles. Okay, and right now we have, if we zoom in, we have some indecision. I mean, we're above VWAP, but all of these candles have been within the body of the first 5-minute candle, okay? So we're going to call this morning market structure, and what we're looking for, so we have a candle here. This 5-minute candle it's pressing against morning structure. We do have a lot of ugly, we got a lot of ugly wicks up here. Those are all rejection wicks.
Yep.
And I'm going to tell you why that's going to make this hard to trade, okay? Because
Yep.
even if we
Yep.
close above morning market structure, and that's defined as number 2 here, guys. That's our goal. Give me a minute. Let me get my chart to work correctly. This is morning market structure. Now, it only turned out that we had the body of one 5-minute candle, but sometimes this could be anywhere, right? You're going to put it on the body of the highest and lowest point of the first 3 candles, the first 15 minutes. So far, we keep closing candles. We're slowly moving back towards VWAP, and we're not
Yep.
bouncing too hard. Doesn't mean we don't want to pre-guess it, right? We're going to leave it very
No.
simple. Right now, we're testing underneath VWAP, and VWAP is going to be our 3rd structure. Let me pull that bad boy in. Where's my 3? There we are.
We may be breaking under market structure momentarily if we keep
Yep.
coming down.
Yep, and pretty hard.
Books
So the selling
loading in.
pressure
Yep.
to the downside is looking a little bit more intense. So
Yep.
now we're going to look at something. And again, we could just be range bound, but this is where we want to be considering some puts, guys.
Yep.
You taking any puts, Michael?
I've not yet. I'd like to get this. There's still 4 minutes on this candle. We could be stuck in morning structure for a little bit if this don't close under.
All right.
That
So
first 1, 2, 3. That 4th candle at first was starting to push over, and then it wicked right back down when I interrupted you. This is starting to look like a strong move down.
Yeah. Okay, guys, just to recap, your pre-market is your number 1 structure that you want to look at. It sets the tone for the day. Now, I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about pre-market. It's very easy for us to remain in pre-market. A much stronger trending day will break pre-market high or low. And one thing that I noticed right off the bat is that we have a pretty wide range today. Pre-market can be much tighter than this, but it's a pretty wide range, which means that today's price range could be pretty wide. And I can tell you that where this market will likely go, at some point, we're going to test the top or the bottom of pre-market. And this could just be a wider day that ends up, doing one of these, giving us no direction until Friday. The market might just be waiting for that unemployment report. At the moment, so we've always want to mark pre-market because that will pretty much be where we end up going. We are going down. So the options that I'm looking at are these SPY 597 puts expiring today, 12/26.
Yep.
And those are the ones that I'm taking. And these are starting to cook.
Yeah. I like it.
Now, we are going to get a potential bounce. Got a couple places where we can bounce.
Approaching
we can bounce
200 here in a little bit.
So right here, we have a potential area of bounce, which is this, remember, this wedge that I drew for you guys this morning. So we could bounce right there, but if we don't, bam, we're shooting hard. This should be printing for you guys if you're able to get in. Now, we don't have a confirmation candle underneath our morning market structure, but dang, we're printing hard. I got 20% right there, 34%. Bam.
Nice.
So, 51%.
41.
Yep. All right. So, we're just cracking through 75%. Dang.
There we go.
Man, look at that candle, guys. That candle size is unusual. That's a big old candle. That's a, I like to call I call the green ones God candles. That's the devil's candle right there. That's the devil's candle.
I like it, Josh.
Yeah. Yeah, that's 106% for me, 107% for me. 117%.
I moved my stop on up.
Yeah, so I'm going to I'm a snap, guys. I'm a snap profit at 100%. I'm snapping profit at 100%. Let me just see.
Nice play, man. That moved fast.
Yeah.
That moved fast. I think we were breaking this with a little bit of structure. 588.70. What's the 1 hour showing? We could come back and test 595, Josh. We could. That would have been 595.75 is where we opened at on Tuesday. Right in that region. Not a bad place to retest
Yeah. I'm
if
sorry,
we
guys. I'm
keep
a little quiet. I'm
continuing.
just kind of just trying to see if I get my app froze up a little bit. I'm just trying to make sure that I got my position, the amount sold that I wanted to sell. It's giving me a bad read. So I don't think I have them in my account, but it's showing me that I
Did it not?
do. But it's showing me my
Did not
profit. So it's hard
execute.
for me to. It says 0 contracts, but it also shows me 22. So I can't tell whether or not I own them or don't own them.
Oh my
Let's
goodness. Okay, guys, we're back testing now this candle. We want to see if it's going to retrace and come up and back test the bottom of your morning structure or possibly VWAP.
Yeah.
And,
So that
and
was
you don't
just
want to
an
give up.
insane move, guys. That was an
It was a quick,
insane move.
if you didn't catch it, that's okay. Something that moved really fast. And the point of entry, if you could have had your puts pulled up, was when that candle started, as it started crossing morning structure. That was a pure momentum trade. And now this green is going to give, if you didn't take profits like we did down here at the bottom, this green candle just ate every bit of it back up. Now you want to see if it can hold. If it can hold under market structure that Josh drew this morning. That would be on where it says number 3 on his chart, the bottom of it. If it can hold under it, then we may continue down.
Yeah.
Wow, that green can it ate it all up. I'm glad I took profits.
Okay. Yeah. Just like Michael was saying, we're now going to see what it does, whether it gets rejected at VWAP and we should be reloading for another run down,
Right.
or whether we should be,
And Josh,
it's
which strike do you take? Like when we're doing SPY like this, how do you
so,
usually go one strike out of the
I
money?
could spend a whole hour talking about that, but I'll keep it really simple. I mean, it's the first thing I want to do is I want to eliminate the idea that there is a right one. There's not a right
Yeah.
one. Each one carries a different level of risk, and is going to move faster. And it's going to move faster or slower. You're going to have the ones that are deeper in the money, or just simply in the money, or deeper in the money, or at the money. You're going to have less volatility with those. The further away
Yeah.
you get from the money, you're going to have faster movement. And sometimes when like if I make 100% on something, I'm relatively close to the money. Someone else will pop up in the Discord and say, I made 200%. I made 300%,
Yeah.
Josh. Well, they were further away from the money. The other thing is that
Yeah.
they tend to be cheaper. The further away from the money they get, they tend to be cheaper. And as a
Yeah.
result, sometimes you take a smaller position size because, I don't know, instead of if you're used to buying
Yeah.
20 of something and then they're far away from the money, you might have to buy 150 of them. And so it has a lot to do with comfort level. So here we are. technically we went all the way back
Oh
into,
my God.
yeah, that was a massive, massive move. Now we're actually this is
That's a
crazy.
liquidity sweep. That was a liquidity sweep, wasn't it? If this keeps going higher, they just brought that down to, that's insane. That green
Yeah.
candle's bigger than that red one.
Yeah, that is something you don't normally see. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I
Uh-uh.
cannot recall the last time I saw this. So, first of all, if you haven't been able to catch any of this, or, don't, this is not a
Don't feel
trending
bad.
market. This is an earthquake in the SPY.
Yeah,
It's not a trending market. This is like a tremor, not a trending. Well, we're
look
just
where
going to
the
let it. So now we're on top of,
now we're on top.
yeah, but we're going to let it do its
Look at
thing for a little bit. We're going to let it close. I'm going to get back to teaching. We're going to watch it. I would say that based on this wicking down, bouncing off the 200, getting back in that channel. Remember this channel, this wedge I was talking about to you guys at the morning. Right now we just, it's hard to say what we did. Let's go back and look at it. So if I pull this out and put it on the bottom of that wick right there, and we stay in this channel, it means that today and tomorrow we are likely going to go up and test 606. Now, the interesting thing about that is if we get to 606, we've negated our head and shoulders pattern. Okay. We do have another pattern we got to then begin to be mindful of and we need to watch, which is basically a double top. I'm just going to go to the 1 hour chart real quick. So it would appear to me, just the little bit I'm seeing of price action this week, it would appear to me that the market is very, very likely not going to give us a head and shoulders. And I don't like to guess. I mean, obviously, I'm always doing a little bit of guessing, right? But the market's not falling apart. It doesn't
right.
seem the bulls are not handing this off to the bears. If we end up getting back here to 606 by Friday, we are just going to basically suspend, we're going to be in suspense until next Monday, the start of the year. And we're going to then have a double top, right? We'll have a double top to deal with, we'll have this V shape. And I'll tell you, if that V shape gets confirmed, then you'd basically take the top to the middle, and then you put that at the bottom when it breaks. And it actually means that if we were to fail at 606 and come back and break beneath this 584, it means that the market in the first 3 months, we could go as low as 550, which nobody's expecting that right now. Nobody, but that's a very strong
No.
possibility. So we're looking at either a softer pullback, that's if we have head and shoulders, or a harder pullback would be a failure and a double top. Now, if we can hold next week above 606, and really remember it was 608 that was the troublemaker. We never ever closed a
Yes.
single day above 608. So 606 is just to get us to a double top. 608 is to confirm the uptrend. If we close above 608, then it means that in January we're very likely to see 624. Okay, that's what we'll end up getting. So we're in my opinion, what should my title of my next video be? I've been telling people to kind of slow down a little bit, recognize that we could be in a shift. We have not shifted yet. The market is still in a bullish stance, and we're getting very, very close between this week and maybe even might take another 2 weeks. I'd love for the market to give me clear and fast answers. It might take another 2 weeks, but we're getting very, very close to the market telling us what it wants to do. But it really hasn't told us what it wants to do yet.
So, Josh, we got 1 minute left. This candle. If we close above structure here, what do you think about calls
Yeah, no, I
up to
completely.
601? And if you look at a 10 or a 15-minute candle, look at the wick, the bottom wick on that big move that we had to the downside. The buyers just ate it up. And I do like the MACD and the RSI are both pushing up. I'm leaning a little bullish here, and wouldn't mind to take a nibble if this closes above.
Yeah, just to let you guys know how my particular order, I had messed myself up. with all, it doesn't matter how many years that you've been doing this, you can make small mistakes. I had put in a stop loss really quickly, and so half my order didn't. I would have sold all of it based on the fact that we were retracing. I ended up selling half at 100 and something percentage, and the other half I actually have come back and taken a small hit on. I made money,
Uh,
but again,
yeah.
little, maybe I'm distracted by talking, but little mistakes are always possible. Don't beat
Hmm.
yourself up. I've been doing this for 2 decades, and I still make mistakes every day. Little mistakes sometimes. Yeah, all right. So let's look at some calls. Matter of fact, I'm going to go look at them right now. Michael, help people out.
Casey asked,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
Casey asked if we were doing zero DTE, and I just took one, guys. I took one as a placeholder, at least one call. Zero DTEs, yes, and I'll usually go one or two strikes out of the money. If you're new, you can go out one extra day, and it'll slow it down for you some, slow the volatility down, and I usually recommend that for somebody that's just starting into options. It makes it slower for you and not as volatile. Uh, I'd like that 5 minute candle did close on top technically, but not the whole body, and I didn't take much. I only took one contract, and it's okay just to take one or two contracts, guys.
Yeah. The other thing
Especially
that
the way this is going right now.
so we're going to very likely, based on just the way the market looks to me, we
Yeah.
dipped beneath VWAP, hit 200. Very, very likely we're going to get a test of VWAP again. That's our third structure. We could, doesn't have to, but if you're going to play it safe, you would take a bounce off of VWAP. So basically, we will have come down, shot above. We'll likely come back, bounce on VWAP, come back and hit our pre-market structure. And the safest trade would be a bounce off VWAP. But there's no guarantee you're going to get it. That's why you show up to Wall Street
Mm-mm.
every day and you think through your play and you think through your strategy. Looks like we're coming back to hit that
Yeah.
VWAP. Now we want to see it hold if we do hit it. If we keep bouncing off of morning market structure, that's even more bullish. It means that we might go
That's
higher than at the moment I'm planning.
yeah.
All right, so let me recap while we got a little bit of watching the candles. We've got these three structures, okay? These are your three structures that you're going to mark on your chart every day. Now, I want to be clear. Doesn't get you through the day. It doesn't get you through your trading structure. It's not all you need to know. It's just your morning structure, okay? It's your basis for considering how is the price action doing right now, and you want to basically judge it against something, and you don't want to let your bearish or bullish sentiment lead you. You want to follow structure, right? You're going to ultimately be trading as you get more towards the middle of the day. You're going to be ultimately trading VWAP and candles, right? And the 9 EMA. That's ultimately where you're going to go. But you start your morning off with the morning structure, which is the high and low of pre-market, the high and low of morning structure as defined by your first 3 5-minute candles. And you can see that already we're getting a trend. And remember what I said, it's the 10 a.m. rule. The trend is established usually after the first 30 minutes. So here we are, it's 10:08 East Coast time, and we ask ourselves, all right, what's the trend? Well, we're above the VWAP. A moment ago we were above morning market structure, and maybe this candle will close above morning market structure. If we shift from 5 minutes to 10 minutes and this candle goes green, then the bias at that point is that we are in an uptrend moving forward. So the risk idea would be towards the upside at the moment. So we're going to give this candle a few minutes to close, and then I'm going to cover the next stage of basics in day trading.
Yeah.
You're going to see whether or not we should be loading calls or holding
Uh-huh.
calls. Man, that's a very bullish. This candle right here, guys, is just crazy bullish. I mean, the buyers, it's
Yep.
like they were hunting. They were hunting fear.
Yep.
So the minute The minute the market capitulated, they just swooped in and said, nope.
I got kicked out of my trade. A little too tight, but we had a good win, so I'm not giving much back, guys.
Yeah. So
Now
if
we're
this
back
candle,
right in
now we're
structure.
looking at the 10-minute candle, right? Now, if we were looking at 5-minute candles, we obviously would have gotten really bearish as that one 5-minute candle broke down. Now we're looking at 10-minute candles, and now we're getting
Wow.
a test of the VWAP again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so if this candle makes a new high above the body of these candles, then we have a pretty volatile morning. Like, this is an unusually volatile morning. If we
Yes.
end up closing beneath VWAP, then this run back up was just a fake out, and we're looking for trend at this point. Now, the other thing I want to highlight is that this is leaning bearish. Okay, so I'd be very cautious about being in any calls right now. Very, very cautious, because technically we've opened up this candle underneath VWAP. And if we break the low of morning market structure, then we're just going to have another volatile moment down. This is such a choppy morning. I mean, I made 110%, but it's such a choppy morning. One, you don't want to give anything back. And two, if this thing is just going to radically swing, you want to be careful. You want to be careful. We're looking for trend. And yeah, it's cool to make 100% in a 5-minute candle, but, we're looking for a trending market that we can kind of add to our position on every green candle as it goes up, or even down. We don't care if it goes up or down.
Yeah.
We're just looking for the pattern to be established. Right now, we're still within morning market, and we're already 30 minutes, we're 41 minutes past open, and we're still within morning market. Now, just for perspective, Michael, the last time we traded back here, you can see that wasn't the case.
Right.
We had only
Huge
one
trim.
candle, only one 15-minute candle was, we had all three 15-minute candles in morning market. But by the first 30 minutes, the trend of the day was established, and it was pretty much just straight up.
Yeah.
That was Tuesday. So that's the trend you're looking for after the first half hour. Right now, we're moving sideways with extreme volatility. If this candle closes back above VWAP, then I would say it's straight 50-50, no trend given. If it closes beneath VWAP, well, then we're favoring more of a downturn.
Yeah. Josh, NVIDIA is approaching your 138 level, just to let you know. With a 15-minute cross down, RSI pushing down also. I don't know if you like that or not. Not quite got there, but it's approaching it. Just bringing
And
it to
you
your
got the
attention.
SPY almost closing underneath VWAP.
Yeah.
So right now, things are looking a little ugly.
Yeah. NVIDIA could, if it starts breaking down, it could drag the SPY with it. Could be a chop fest till noon. Or midday, I'll say, for your time zone, Josh. I don't know what.
And right where
time
I'm
is it
at,
there,
it's
brother?
5:13 a.m. This is the sun's not even up. The day is not even thinking of starting yet. Yeah, we're just going to wait on this. This is how time gets spent. We're at a point where we could get a critical moment of a nice play. So, if you hear me stop talking, it's because I'm thinking, hey, we're really close to making another entry or exit scenario. And so right now it's indecision. So we're just going to keep talking.
Yeah.
All right. Then I wanted to make mention of this. So now this is where it gets interesting. I haven't talked about this before, but I'm going to call this the 11:30 a.m. rule. This is after the market has been open
There
for
goes
two.
NVIDIA, Josh. There goes NVIDIA
All
under
right.
your mark.
Yep. And it's pulling the SPY down too.
Yep. I just got the alert on it. Yeah, it's not closed under it, but there it went. I'd love to see it start flushing down. 30-minute looks a little bearish to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think,
Finally figured out how to set alerts on TradingView.
nice. It's interesting to me see all the strength that the SPY is showing, even, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Tesla came back, hit this equilibrium and bounced pretty hard. Market it's not yielding to the bears just yet. It's a low volume day.
Juan Hayes says, how long does it take for a candle to close? One, it just depends on what time frame that you put your chart on, brother. A 5-minute chart it'll be a 5-minute candle, and most of your brokerages has you can put a timer on each candle. That way, it's showing you the time. Here goes
Well,
NVIDIA under.
We got 3 minutes and 36 seconds left on this candle. It looks bearish.
Yep.
But it hasn't closed yet, and so we're gonna let it close because this will determine whether or not we get into another trade here.
Very choppy.
Yeah, very choppy. Sideways at the moment in morning market. No trend established, and we've gotten past the time of the day. Well, if we looked at what trend has been established, it's just not one that we want. It's a sideways trend. I mean, that's what we're getting. Yeah. We're getting a choppy sideways trend for the day. And that means that if we've done that for the first 30 minutes, it's very possible that we'll continue to get that. And that is the trend of the day, and that it's not a great day to be scalp trading. We got a great scalp trade in this crazy candle, and we might just have to leave it there. And I'm going to focus on wrapping up my teaching segment. But I am looking for one more big move here. We got 2 minutes and 28 seconds left on this candle. We're beneath VWAP, which means that we are, puts focused at the moment. We're sitting in this little space between VWAP and morning market structure. And this candle could do the same thing the last one did. It could just get another violent push down here. But we've got 2 minutes left, and it still hasn't closed, and it's toying with being green. So I'm just gonna let this one close, and we'll go
Jose
from there.
asks, is it better to go by 5-minute or 15-minute candles? Jose, as the day goes on, you need higher time frames to confirm more.
Yep.
You switch back and forth a lot for entries and exits, but you need higher time frames to give you more confirmation.
Yeah, and I'll touch on that too. We got 1:30 left on this, but I'm going to show yesterday as an example for his question. Candles still.
Yes.
So these are 10-minute candles. Now, if we go to 5-minute candles, let's see here. You could have gotten scared and gotten out of this play here.
Yeah.
Or here. Okay. But if you really, and you could have gotten out of it here, all three of these places, these red candles would have showed up, especially right here. You would have thought the move is over and you would have gotten out. And so you want to not be too focused on the volatility. The later in the day, the move is still trending upwards. You're going to have some shakiness. After the first hour, I kind of strongly suggest at bare minimum being in the 10-minute candle. And that got rid of those first two red candles. Now, if we drop to the 15-minute, because we're much later in the day, you can see that it cleans up the day. We still got into this patch here towards the end of the day, but what I like about these is that you can clearly see that each one made a higher low, right? And so even though you're having a lot of pullback, it was pointing to a move higher. But you want to shift to the higher time frame candles the later in the day you begin to go, so that you can see the trend more clearly and more obviously. The 10 to 15 minute candles here show the trend yesterday. Not yesterday, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Tuesday, the best. So far,
Mhm.
we've got no trend. The candle closed red right on morning market, and now we're bouncing higher. I would say we do have a trend, even though I keep denying that we have a trend. The trend is sideways. It's sucky sideways. That's simply what it is. All right, now
I
we got to
like
push
that.
down. If we can close a candle underneath morning market, well, then we're going to look at taking some puts.
Yep. How do you set VWAP? Is this just an indicator on whatever platform you're using to chart? And if I'll be doing a video tonight, if you want to tune in, and we can go over how to bring that up on your chart.
All right, so we're going to keep pushing over. This particular candle is opened beneath morning market structure, but it hasn't closed beneath morning market structure. And I think the trend is largely sideways after that initial volatility. All right,
Yep.
so with really the last 3 10-minute candles are all beneath VWAP. This one might change it, but more or less, I would say the trend for the day is sideways. Um, you know, it doesn't mean it'll stay that way. It just means that that relatively is our trend, and we're being consistent with it. So this is a little bit of an interesting pattern that we're getting now. It could indicate a move, a bullish move back to the top. It's this candle here and here, followed by this candle, which is, we're going to call it a doji. And then this candle, if we get back above the opening of this red candle, then it gives us the move. It confirms this move back up to 640. And if we get back above 640 at this point in the day, I would lean towards believing that we've basically double tested VWAP and bounced. We just did it with some ugly candles.
Mm-hmm.
Some very choppy, ugly candles. And it looks like we're going to do that. So I'm going to take a small call position here. Very small. We haven't closed that candle yet. And we've already established that our action for the day is sideways chop. But
Yeah, I like the 10-minute RSI and MACD also pointing up, giving us some in the 15. 1 hour's a little confused on the MACD, but the RSI's up over 64.
yeah, I mean, it's not pretty. We've this is some extreme volatility. Largely, I think the action is sideways. We've had this huge test of the bottom. It wouldn't shock me if we come up and test the top. Ultimately, I view this right here as 2 tests of VWAP, 1 and 2. And once VWAP has been hit a couple times in the day, if we open this candle and close this candle here, then I think it leans bullish. If you're, as far as scaling goes, I got a little baby position in. If we open and close a candle above morning market structure, and we've tested VWAP twice, then my inclination is that we're going to come up and test pre-market top the way we tested pre-market bottom. I am amazed at the strength of these moves. Even this candle's
Insane.
pretty impressive.
It's insane. We're starting to break value area high. I'm up a couple percent on mine, Josh.
Same here.
Like to get some continuation. One good candle above would be a nice move up to 601. 601 was kind of 601.20. I'm sorry, 601.40. Yeah, about 601.40. The high of Tuesday. Tuesday, excuse me.
The 11:30 a.m. rule. Yes, I was sharing that. The 11:30 a.m. rule is basically the idea that you're getting right before people take a break and go to lunch, right? And so after 11:30, the idea is that the markets will have even a bigger slowdown, right? They'll have even a bigger slowdown. And a lot of people knowing that the momentum is going to shift, the market will tend to make its high or low by 11:30 a.m. Okay. And so if the price makes a new high or new low by 11:30, basically the idea is that the chances are that it's going to end the day by that higher low. So right now we're at it's 5:26 my time. So was that we're only 10:30, right, guys? 10:30. Yeah. So in another hour, if we end up, this is the basic 11:30 rule. If by the end of the next hour we end up around 600, it means that the day is likely going to end in that price range. Now, if we are still range bound, then it means that that we're not making a new high for the day. It has a lot to do with if we can get a new high booked by 11:30, it means that that high will stick. Or if we make a new low, it means the low will stick. I don't know if that makes sense. Where you guys have to ask me questions if need to explain it more. So I'm up 5% on my position.
Yeah, me too. Me too. 5%.
Ask me if I trust these big old candles. I'm gonna put a reasonable stop loss in, because I've already made money today. You know, I've already made money, and there's no need to be greedy. I'm gonna put it so that I will lose a little money, about 10 cents below my entry, which would be about a 20% loss on the options I chose. And you know, I'll end up giving some back, but that makes sense to me. And if it pulls back, kicks me out, and then runs higher, then I'll just know that I need to stop trading today.
Somebody says kicked on NVIDIA puts.
I didn't feel good about the NVIDIA put for a couple of reasons. Just the way the market was trading.
We really didn't close under 138. It wasn't a go.
No. And on top of it,
just a few cents below, that was it.
Yeah. So we got choppy markets. We had a decent trade in here. We're going to see how this trade plays out. I went from being 5-6% up. Now I'm 4% down, which I'm okay with. I accepted that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see this candle. Right now I'm looking at 10-minute candles. So I'll jump to 5-minute candles real quick. And you know what that gives me? Well, it gives me a candle that is not a continuation candle. That's the first thing. I want a continuation candle. It doesn't look bad to me. It doesn't look bad. I'm back up now, 2.38%. This doesn't look bad. I mean, we had a huge, powerful bounce off the 200. Looks like we had two bounces here. When we go to the 5-minute candles, we had two bounces off VWAP. We basically bounced off VWAP to the upside 3 times. In my mind, we got to give this the benefit of the doubt that we're going higher.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get back
If
to
you,
some basic education. All right. I want to point out Lux because this is a great tool for beginners. Okay. The basic, you can see, I'm telling you, the consistency of Lux that I found has really amazed me over the last, especially when we get into crypto season. I mean, so you see that we have this premium zone right here defined. And we normally get right to the middle of the premium zone when it fails. We were in the NVIDIA, we were right in the middle of the discount zone and it popped, right? It lost direction right around equilibrium. This tells you that NVIDIA is largely choppy. It got rejected pre-market when it popped up to the premium zone. And so really in the last 6 hours, I don't know, maybe in the last 3 hours, this is just trading sideways as well. But I do like the Lux indicator because it gives you a little bit of a general sense. I mean, I can snap trend lines. Most of my trend lines are going to be on the daily and weekly time frame, similar to the fact that 600 and 606 are trend lines that work for the last month that we've been hanging around this area. But when you get to these smaller time frames, like the 5-minute and the 15-minute, you know, it's really hard to define what the local range is. You're really just going to be looking at candles at that point. But the Lux will give it to you. So the Lux is telling us right now on the 5-minute time frame, our potential for price movement is between 602 and 594, with the 200 being right around 598.99. We've recently tested the top of the range. We're within pre-market. We're above pre-market. The only way this is getting bullish is we actually got to get above. We got to come back, hit pre-market. Even getting back above pre-market is not terribly bullish. It's just a double top at that point. So this is going to be your pre. These are working, by the way. We're back to 5% gain on those.
yeah. Yeah, I'm liking it.
Yeah. There we go. So now let me just shift. So at this point in the day, I'm not done trading structure. Structure is going to be important the whole rest of the day, but it's really not about structure at this point in the day. Now you're really trading candles, and this is where an understanding of momentum comes in. Each of these candles is essentially fighting the last candle. So we have a 3 green candle trend, each candle making a new high. So the trend is obviously bullish. It's not a breakout until it breaks above this candle's wick right here. Okay. So right now we're testing this wick. Okay. And so if at this point we can't close this candle above and we start getting some red candles, then it means the price is coming back to VWAP. Right now, this looks good. I mean, we've got 1:51 seconds left on this 5-minute candle, and we're pushing right past the wick of this previous candle. So we haven't closed yet. Let's see how it closes. I was at 11% there. Now I'm at 9.52%.
Yeah, 10 to 12% so far.
Yep. I'm just going to move these around. Yep. So right now we're trading candles. We've in the back of our mind is our structure. The most important two things that we're doing right now is shifting from trading the structures less important and trading VWAP and candles has become more important. And the most important thing that we're trying to see this thing do to break higher is to get above that wick. We don't want...
Eric, we said we took it. We said we took the call there.
Yeah, I took the call. I told you guys I was taking calls.
Yeah. Yep.
So you can see how it's struggling with that wick range.
Mm-hmm.
We got 32 seconds left on this candle. And we want to look for a potential trend reversal. There's no, let's pop on. This is where I really should be having the VWAP lines on. Let me do that. Let's see here. Let me double click on my inputs style. Okay, so we want the upper band 1, upper band 2, upper band 3. And we are, you can see, interestingly, we're kind of getting resistance. I know it's hard to see. Let me pull it up. Upper band 2. We're going to make it. So this is VWAP. All right, so we did good there. Now we're still beneath that, but we closed right on it, which means I kind of like that, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't dislike that candle. Give me a second. We're still struggling underneath that wick, though. We got a little bit of a flag pole potentially going. If we end up doing some consolidation here, it's okay. But if we break down and we fail to get above that, then we could even come as low as here, which means that we want to lock in. Look at that. I didn't even get a chance to lock in my gains. I'm back to.
Yeah, me neither. I'm about to get kicked. It's really low. It's just not a lot of pressure with.
Yeah. So what I'm seeing here, and this is where, you know, you want to trade the trend. Trend is leaning bullish, but with what I'm going to call low conviction. It's like leaning bullish, low conviction. I mean, every time we got to this, we're above the second band. Let me make that clear so you guys can see it. All right, so you got your blue band, you got your green band, you got your yellow band. We're bouncing. You know, we've bounced off support. We broke through, bounced here, and this is almost a bounce again. So we're doing fine overall. I'm going to shift from 5-minute candles to 10 minutes because I don't want to get shook by the red candles. I will say, though, that we are dealing with the fact that so far at every point today, we have gotten rejected at the second band of the VWAP. So here, technically here, and we're kind of fussing with it now. So we need to get above it right now. If this candle ends up turning into a doji, and we've got this massive green candle up, a doji here, I'd be worried about a massive red candle down and a perpetuation of our sideways move. And so if this candle doesn't finish, if this 10-minute candle doesn't finish strong above this white line that I've got marked, then I'm going to let the trade go. I'm going to take 5%, and I'm going to have a trade with 110% and a trade with 5%, and I'm going to be happy with it. There we go. No, we're going to see 2 minutes left on this candle. I'm going to tighten up my stop loss now to break even, so I give nothing back. I previously had it 10 cents below my entry. I'm going to put it in right now at my exact entry, so that if it drops one more time, I'll make nothing, but I'll give nothing back. And I don't know. This has to push. It's holding ground. Stop loss is in. It's 1 minute 24 seconds before this candle closes. We're above the white line. The white line, just for reference, we're no longer trading. We're ignoring all the other structure we talked about. Now we're trading candles. This is our resistance point, the wick of the previous candle. We're looking at that. We're looking at VWAP. If we can close above this red wick, we will continue higher. We will get all the way up to 600. If we fail to close a 10-minute candle above this, well, then the market may want to come back. And at that point, I don't want to give any money back. You guys, has this been an informative, educational, financially enriching for you? Let me know. Make sure that if you've attended the meeting today, that you hit the like so I get an idea of who's in the house.
Yeah.
Okay, I just got kicked. And I'm okay with it. It doesn't mean this isn't going higher. It just means that I gave it as much love as I wanted to give it. I could have walked away with an 8% win, but I wasn't going for an 8% win. I was going for a bigger win here. And
Hmm.
this has consistently it couldn't it we had 5-minute candles up, and we bounced on VWAP. You guys, if you're more tolerant, we'll see. What are you doing with yours?
Josh, I'm still in, and I'm right at break. I'm up 1%,
Yeah, it could
right
be a
at
good
break
move.
even. I think
I
it's
mean, I'll tell you
so on
how.
the fence.
Yeah, I'd be okay with it. Like, I'm out though. I'm gonna let it be and not overtrade. But here you got this
Yeah.
flag pattern. If this stays in this range and then breaks above 640, that's what this is,
Hmm.
guys. Then we could get a nice move up. Yeah. So that's what it's doing. And this could turn out to be a nice little flagpole, which means that if we break above, it could be pushing us all the way back to 601.23 by end of day. I'm okay. I can't get everything. Sometimes I gotta take what I get. Don't throw a fit.
That's right. Mm.
There he goes.
No,
Well,
I
I'm
don't like
glad that I
that.
didn't
I'm
give
out.
nothing back.
Yep, me too.
Yeah, look at that thing. That thing is
I
ugly.
just got kicked. Yep, I'm kicked. I'm out. Small loss. Keep your losses small.
Tamir Mori, I got to give him some credit today. Well done, Tamir. 2,874. You did excellent.
My
Now, here's
man.
the interesting thing.
Nice.
Yeah, excellent, man. Love to celebrate your guys' wins. Um, Technically, this is a volatile, choppy, sideways day. The market's
Yep.
relatively consistent. We could come back here and we could bounce on morning market structure or VWAP. If you ask me my opinion of what the market will do, I think the market's going to kind of continue to do this. If you ask me, it's what it's doing. And it's just going to set up
Mm.
for tomorrow. If the market
Does it till it
wanted
don't.
if the market wanted to go on a full scale dump, it would have did it right here. It would have
Hmm.
did it when it had that capitulation moment. The market wants to go sideways into Friday. The market's not convinced that there's enough buyers and sellers here to decide the fate. Um, we're getting, we have 1, 2, 3. Is this going to be a fourth test of VWAP? And
Wow.
then if you want to look at it from my perspective, here's the trading that I would see. I don't think I'm going to trade anymore. I've got family in, and we're going to go get coffee and watch the waves this morning. But here's how I'd view it. Calls if it got back above 640. I would say puts if we got beneath. I would say 599.50. That's probably your
Yeah.
structural range at this point. Um, yeah. Largely, now where are we at now? It's 5:43, so we're only an hour and 13 minutes into the trading day. We are getting, this would be interesting if we get a better bounce off VWAP. I think I got the 11 a.m. rule out. Got 60% on the SPY. Karen is saying Nvidia, if the SPY's having a sideways day, Nvidia is way more sideways bound than the SPY right now. I kind of want to trade Nvidia because I spend a lot of time on the chart, but it's not given huge wins. It's been more tricky. So personally, I'm going to leave it alone. Tesla's not doing anything either today. I mean, it had that put moment. I didn't give technicals for Tesla. I didn't like it either really this morning. I normally give technicals for Tesla, but I probably would have leaned towards a break of structure down here, and that would have just, it would have been profitable for a few minutes. You could have gotten from 455 to 450, but it's more or less a sideways day. All right, let's take time and look at let's go back and look at the MACD because I'm still laying a foundation. This wasn't the live stream that I had in mind. I wanted it to be a bit more teaching, but we got caught up with some trading, which is perfectly okay. It's why we're here. We're here to make money.
Yeah.
You guys can see that I got out, and this is a great lesson. I mean, it's not to say the market won't go higher, but what did we do? I told you we stopped trading structure. We define the trend we're in. We did that. And then we had this wick high that we had to get above. And we gave it 2 5-minute candles, actually 3 5-minute candles, which is a 15-minute time frame, which is pretty dominant. And it couldn't get above 600, which meant that the local momentum was over and we got a little bit of a pullback. It failed to hit VWAP. If it hit VWAP like right here, I would have been a bit more inclined to take risk back to the upside. But it didn't even hit VWAP. And so I would say that I just don't trust this. So the reason why I'm going through that is I'm pointing out that at a certain point in the morning, you stop trading structure. You never stop trading the structure, but you put it on the back burner and you begin to look at your candles more and your VWAP. It's above VWAP, that's the blue line, which means that the overall trend for the morning is bullish. But it's also not trending higher. And so unless you are going to take a longer dated option, there's not a lot of money to be made here in a sideways day. This is the type of day that if you make some money, you walk away. This is the type of day that if you this is such a beautiful trending market, you just want to be adding all day long. We don't have anything like that. I do believe that we're trending higher. I think likely we're probably going to end up doing something like this. But I'm probably not going to be participating in the full move. I wanted to talk about the RSI. I want to talk about the MACD. Let's just quickly cover that, and then we'll wrap up this video. Let's move these aside. Because this is a little bit more related towards trading the trend and not scalp trading. So this would be like options that you would hold over the course overnight versus 100% that you might get in the morning. This would be a different type of way of approaching it. Let's go look. The MACD becomes very, very important here. And so does the RSI, but we're going to look at the MACD. The hourly MACD. Any single time you definitively cross the threshold of the hourly MACD, the zero line, okay, which is this middle line right here. Anytime you cross it to the upside or the downside, you largely could make calls or puts, okay? And you can see that really for the last, I don't know, you could say for the last 2 weeks. Well, it's hard to say. We'll expand this in a minute. All right, let me blow this up. Okay. So I've showed this in the past, and I trade this myself. So here we go. Right here, we had been definitively retracted from the zero line, the histogram line. We had been retracted from it. Right here on the hourly time frame, when we crossed back above it, it was right here. Okay. Very, very similar on the 1 hour time frame. It's when we got back above the 200 EMA. Right here is a place where you could buy calls and go long. And you can see that the price was at 590. And over the course of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I can do it this way. Give me a minute. Where's my tools? So from your possible entry here to right here, you could have held for 16 days, for 2 weeks, and you would have moved from 588 to 609. And I really wanted to point out how important it is to keep an eye on the 1 hour MACD, specifically as it crosses above or beneath the 0 histogram line. Okay. And that's just a very, very powerful example of having an entirely different, longer term outlook. It also helps you in your scalp trading, because if we're above the 0, it means that your calls are most likely going to win. Now, let's take a step back and look at the opposite that happened. All right, so right here, and you could have held these, even though we went way up and came way down. It wasn't until we got right here that they actually crossed back below. And technically, if you had entered when they crossed above and exited when they had crossed below, you would have gotten roughly 589 to 605, which is a pretty huge move. You would have needed to have bought the 30-day dated options. So you would have to be bought at least a month out to be able to get the biggest return there. Now let's kind of take an exam of how it would have ended. This was when we were trending more. You're not going to be as fortunate in a sideways market. So this has been sideways. Okay, you still could play this, but you're not gonna have the same result. And the reason why I'm pointing this out is that you want a good move away and then a definitive crossover, which is what we got here. Right now, we had a good move away. We came all the way down. We came way all the way down here. Right? That gave us that good move away. Then we had a definitive crossover, and our entry would have been right here at 590. 30-day options, right? 30-day options entered right here at 591. You know, that's where we have no idea where they're going to get us. Right now, we're on the hourly time frame. We're above the 0% histogram. This thing can go up or down. And this is the reason why you want to always take a step back and spend some time studying the 1 hour MACD, because it gives you a sense of where your scalps might go. This is telling me that scalps calls right now are more favorable. It's not until this thing were to get back beneath the 0 line on the 1 hour time frame would I consider that puts would be likely more profitable. So that's one way of confirming, am I trading the trend? Right now, the MACD is telling us that the trend on the SPY in the short term is currently up. Now,
Yep.
You got anything you want to say real quick before I just share one last thing about the MACD?
No, Josh, no. It's helped me tremendously using 1 hour MACD and 1 hour RSI, just from what I've learned from you from the past 2 months. Just watching those and letting that set my mental bias instead of trying to only look at 5 and 10 minute charts. You know, it helps tremendously letting that guide your direction.
Yeah. So the two things I want you guys to leave with is I want you, when you consider, thank you, Michael. I appreciate your feedback. It really means a lot to me.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
So I want to give you guys, so there's ways of messing up, letting the MACD skew your view. And I want to try to just keep it simple so that you have a set of rules. It took me, I'm not going to tell you, it took me a long time to sort this out in my own mind. And the MACD can just confuse you if you're not really understanding the more important truths that are on it. I laid out the most important one, and it's super simple. It's just being above or below the histogram line. And that's really the most important one. When you're above and when price actions crossed above, you kind of want to ignore everything else and just have it in the back of your mind, I'm above. And if you're above the overall default move at that point, whether it's up or down, it's up. It's bullish. Now, you do have some additional ideas in here, okay? But stick with that. That's rule number one. Don't go bearish until this thing crosses back below. Back below is a momentum shift, and your puts are going to be more profitable than your calls, especially ones that you're holding longer or holding overnight. Right now, the idea is that the calls will be more profitable if held overnight with a little bit of time. Now, you do obviously have the dynamic of seeing this cross above or beneath, right? This is where you get the signal. This technically, when it crosses beneath this line, that technically is a sell signal, right? But you can really get caught up with a lot of false sell signals because, especially, you then have to watch the price. And so I don't want to confuse people, but I'm just going to explain this. Michael, you teach a lot. And as you learn this, even from me, you
Yeah.
can break it down for them. If the price moves sideways on the MACD, if the price moves sideways when the momentum slows down, that's actually pretty bullish, because once you get that cross back above your when your signal line crosses when your signal line crosses back above your MACD line, if the price moved sideways while it was beneath it, that's extremely
Yeah.
bullish, and it means you're going to make a new high.
Yeah.
Okay. And so sometimes people will learn when they first learn the MACD that if the signal line moves beneath the MACD, that's a sell signal and it's time to get out. That's not true. That's not a correct interpretation of the MACD.
Mm.
The MACD measures momentum, and in the most simplest term, momentum is positive if in general you're above the zero line. And then when you see this cross above and beneath, when you see the signal line cross above and beneath the MACD line, you want to then consider, while it's pulling back, is price moving up, down, or sideways? If it's moving
Yeah.
sideways or even up as momentum cools, it means that when momentum picks back up, it will move even harder and faster to the upside. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
All right. And then we're going to cover briefly that, to me, that's one of the most important signals. I mean, I don't know which is more important, the MACD or the RSI. They're both pretty darn important. All right, but we're going to take a minute and talk about the RSI real quick.
Absolutely.
And I'm gonna give it to you simpler, because I recently talked about trading, just trading oversold, overbought conditions in a hot market, right? It doesn't always
Yeah.
work, but I think one of the most important things that people need to understand. Let's go to the daily time frame. This is where it's kind of interesting, because the MACD here is not. I'm sorry, the RSI is at the moment not bullish. If we zoom in here, let me get in really close so you guys can see it. At the moment, we've gotten 3 rejections on the RSI line. Okay, 1, 2, and possibly 3. This is why I've been sort of warning of a potential slowdown. If we reject against this and ultimately break lower, then we're definitely headed for a big old capitulation moment and an oversold moment on the daily time frame, a much bigger move down. That's not been decided yet. I think it'll be decided really by the end of this week, but it wouldn't shock me if the market postponed it. I want you guys just to zoom in here and see this. If this needs to get momentum, and it needs to push above and close above this RSI line, right? So if it doesn't, then the market has been showing us weakness ever since December 11th. That's when the market began to break down. And if you go back, this is really, it wasn't even December 11th that I began to shift to being more cautious. It was right here. It was right here that I began to be more concerned about the markets. We saw that pull down, and we're still not out of a concern zone. So the SPY on the daily time frame has been weak ever since December 11th. And so
Yeah.
if we get rejected here now and we drop beneath the 50% level, it's kind of like getting that it's kind of like getting underneath the 1 hour. It's getting underneath the 0 histogram line on the 1 hour. It means that the trend is going to be down over a longer period of time. And so I'm
Josh,
on.
anybody still holding those calls? We're approaching 601 on the SPY, and
All right, let's
you
go
may want
back
to
and
tighten
look
your
at it.
stops up if you're still holding. I'm up 11% right now. Such a slow day.
Yeah, it's kind of what
If you
I
get
mean, I
the
did think this would happen.
one,
It's cool to see it happen.
yeah. So if you want to tighten your stops up, it might be a good place to as we approach 601. We could bake on up. I thought 601.30 was kind of my target if we were moving up.
What'd you get off that, Michael?
8% just got kicked.
That's a good win.
Yeah, I'll take it. And I was kind of going off of Tuesday's highs at 601.30. That was my target until we started pushing over it. Then I want to clear 602 just to move on up to 606.
AVGO had a nice
So
move.
yeah, I saw that. I think somebody in the chat said they had a big win on AVGO.
Yeah, I mean, all day, besides being very, very choppy and not super easy to trade, it's been
Yeah, it's not.
bouncing higher all morning
Yeah.
long. And right now we're pushing up against pre-market. So that's structure 1. We talked about that in the morning. I mean, I said it to you guys. I said, more than likely, we tested the bottom. We're going to come up and test the top.
Okay, Josh, can you look at the 1 hour MACD on the SPY right now? Well,
Yes, let me
how do
do
you
that.
describe that to them? Because to me, it's flattening out and wanting to curl back. The signal lines wanting to cross back above.
Give me just 1 minute.
Mm-hmm. Still holding up. Nice.
Yeah. So keeping it very simple, my view of it is, as I said, ignore everything else and ask yourself the question, in the big picture view, we're above the 0 level on the 1 hour. So the big picture view is that the MACD is pointing up. Now, if in the short term you're attempting to scalp and these are pointing down, then you're going against the immediate trend. But as Michael's just saying, this is just turned up. And if this actually continues higher above our pre-market structure, which it is right now.
Yeah, there goes your 601, guys.
Yeah, then it is. And this curls up, then we're talking, we're going to blast right past our previous day high, or we're going to come back and test it. So we're looking at a target of 602. Let me get an exact line on this. I might even jump back in. Let's see here.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Yeah, so our target becomes yesterday's high. We're going to put 2 targets. Our target zone is going to be basically 601.50 to yeah, so this would be our target zone right here for today. If we can close above pre-market. Pre-market works the exact same way as morning market. We're on the hourly time frame. Let's just kick back to 15 minutes. And we need to close a candle above it. This candle is, let's see here. I want to get this line drawn. Yeah, so that candle is opened above, and it's a 15-minute candle. If it closes above, then that's our next buy signal to go long to 601.54. So that's what we'd be waiting on. And as I said to you before, at this point in the day, structure is always relevant, but it's sort of in the back of our minds. But now it's come back to the forefront. We are now back to trading pre-market structure. Same thing happened the day, the previous trade day. Trend is still going higher. This candle is just a massive God candle. You look at the two big candles on this chart. It was this bounce candle and this previous 15-minute candle. So if this candle closes above pre-market structure, which is right here, then I don't see why we wouldn't get back to not yesterday, but Tuesday's high, which would be this range. It failed between 601.50 and 602. Are you still in that, Michael?
I got kicked, man. I got kicked when it pulled back. I had my stop set a little tight and
Nothing wrong with that.
got kicked.
Nothing wrong with that.
And it still looks good to me. That's why I like that 1 hour. I wanted you explain it better than me, but I knew that 1 hour was looking pretty nice.
Oh, I did have some calls. I forgot about it. I've got, that's funny. I've got 3 calls on. I'm at 24% on them. Probably was a little higher a moment ago. Oh, they're pulling back on me. I should probably I don't know what I'll do. I'll give it a minute. Didn't even know I had them.
It's just so slow, man. I think people get used to quicker moves they want, and I get it. I'm the same way.
Yeah, these were my runners. I think I closed my earlier position, but left some runners.
Yeah.
So back to 16%. So it's struggling. It's struggling with pre-market. I don't know that really means anything. I mean, this could end up just being another flag. It's been doing great. If it stays range bound, it's terribly not different from what it did back here, where it got, it had some fuss here, but ultimately went up in the day. This goes back to that 11:30 rule that I gave you guys. If by this time of the day, so what is it, 6:07? So, or for me, it's we're at 5:30. We're getting close to the 11:30 rule. The 11:30 rule basically is that if we can hit an all-time high for the day, that would be above pre-market, then it'll most likely finish and not be a reversal day. And so this would lead me to believe that if the 11:30 rule plays out, that we would, we could get some red candles here, but we're ultimately going to finish up at least 601.54, which sets us up Friday for either a continuation above the week's high, which is right here at 602.17, or a double top. The double top would be confirmed only in the break of, in the local double top, it'd be confirmed if we broke the low of this price right here, 598.65. But I think there's actually 2 double tops. This could actually be considered a cup and handle. Let me go back and see if I'm right about this. Not quite. Yeah, we got to get up to 606 to get a double top. This might be a cup and handle, but I'd have to spend some more time looking at it. In general, the 11:30 rule is the markets are trending up. And if in the next half hour we are above pre-market structure, it means that we'll likely go higher all the way into close. And I say all the way into close, you always want to be looking to take profit largely 30 minutes before close. You just want to have an extremely tight stop loss, because normally that's when I am going to take profit, and it's when a lot of seasoned traders are going to take profit. And if it runs all the way into close, that's pretty bullish.
Royal Freshness asks, how do we get two lines on the RSI? I know Webull only has one line, doesn't have a signal line, and unless there's,
Let me pop that up.
yeah. Yeah, the
So the
stochastic
RSI
RSI
default,
has two.
yeah. So you get, this is the yellow line is officially your RSI. That's your based moving average. So this one I think is, I don't know if it's 10 or 12 days or what makes up the MA on the RSI. Your purple is going to be your basic RSI. Then you've got your moving average RSI base, which is yellow. Those are, the RSI length is 14 days. So that's your moving average. Your purple line is your moving average is based on 14 days. And then your yellow line is your based MA. This is default RSI for TradingView. You could turn it off. This is probably what you guys have if you don't have it set up this way.
Yeah, I like the signal line on TradingView.
Yeah, me too. You get above it, it's bullish. You get beneath it, it's bearish. It's pretty basic. It just shows you the trend. I mean, this was a huge rollover moment, right? It just rolled and rolled and rolled and rolled there.
Mm-hmm.
This is the 15-minute time frame. And now we're building back up. Yep.
We're over 601 now, guys. So
okay, I'm back to 24% profit on these.
Yeah.
Probably should have scaled them.
Profit. There it goes, 601.12.
Yep, I got 30% now.
601.30 was my target. Start getting rejected there, you could have a little bit of a double top with Tuesday.
What's your target?
601.30 was my target. 601.40, I'm sorry, 601.40. That was my target.
Well, if this closes, it already fought this level a moment ago and it's pushing above it. If it closes above 601, this back here was support 2 times, turned. When it broke back beneath the third time, it flushed. Now we're back above it. Yeah. In general, if this 15-minute candle closes above 601, I would say it's pretty darn bullish.
Yeah.
I would have had a nice little win if I held my full position from earlier.
Yeah, me too.
It's okay. It's all right.
It's all right.
I'm just kind of going through comments, but I mean, some of these comments are from way earlier in the morning. So I'm trying to catch up. Thoughts on Bitcoin? We're back to an evening star. It turned red on us again. We have no advancement for the month of December. That just so you guys all understand, never happened in the history of Bitcoin at this point in the cycle. So just I'm going to repeat that. You know, I like to acknowledge the charts, I like to believe the charts, and I like to trade the charts. The price action that we're seeing in December, based on a similar time frame of price breaking over previous all-time high and opening and closing a candle. Let me just go through that in case it's confusing to some. Okay. This candle was our breakthrough candle, and if you guys listen to me, Michael knows. Michael, what's the next? This crossed the price. What was needed next?
Where we at? I'm looking at something else.
It's okay, Bitcoin. So
Or
previous
Bitcoin.
all-time high marked here at 68,400 roughly. It's closing candle high, not
Hmm.
wick. So previous closing candle high of the last cycle was 68,346. This candle back here in March pressed above it. What did we need to get a continuation?
We had to close above that. We had to get a close above it
Well, we did close
to get
above it right here
continuation.
in
Yep.
March. What do we need next to get a continuation?
I'm pulling it up, brother.
All right, I'm going to tell you guys. We needed another candle to open and close above the 68,346. That's confirmation. Okay. Crossing is not confirmation. Crossing is half of a confirmation. The next is a candle open and close above. Now let's look how this played out. The next candle went back beneath. Then we came back and tested it again. Price went back beneath. Came back and tested it again. Price went back beneath. Came back and tested it again. Price went back beneath. The fifth month that happened, then the market said, okay, well, we got to go back and test support. We came back and tested the previous fib level. I called that 100% on my show at the time.
You sure did. I remember that.
Now this was October. The price crossed above. Same thing as these previous months. Okay, same thing as these previous months. But what gave us this beautiful green God candle was that the following month, it was the very first time that price opened above 68,000. And then when it got above the previous wick high, and we were late in the month, that was a very strong signal we were going to have this massive move higher. So this was respecting all these candles is what led us to this point. Now we're up here and we have something that it's never done before, which is to open and close a candle above previous all-time cycle high and then give a red candle. Never did that before. So that's been one of my reasons why I've been pretty hesitant to just say, okay, Bitcoin's doing something it never did before. Technically,
Yeah.
the lowest advancement that we ever had in a month that followed a breakout candle month was around 7%. We never had a negative month. Now, it doesn't mean the bull run is over. It just means the bull run's doing something it never did before. This could be signaling that we're getting ready to have a volatile moment. What has always happened in Bitcoin in previous cycles is we've had a 40, 50% move. We haven't had that either. So it's doing two things different than it's ever done before. One, it's giving us a red monthly candle. We're getting ready to close this month out pretty soon, so it really needs to close green. Otherwise, that's uniquely bearish. It's a doji. That would be an evening star. And if we start the month of January beneath this candle high close, which I already gave you guys the other day, which let me see if I turned it off, but 96,466, then it means that honestly, we could have a pretty significant retracement. We could technically go all the way back to around 74,000. I've read some other analysts that I like who cover Bitcoin, and just to get us consensus, and a lot of them believe the point of no return. So their line in the sand is 85,000. This would be acceptable to me as well. So this type of volatility on Bitcoin from where it's currently at all the way back to 85,000 would be consistent with previous cycles. But getting below 85,000 and having an evening star or a monthly candle closed red, that would be a huge sirens go off moment for Bitcoin. That would be a huge problem. So I'm expecting more volatility in Bitcoin, to say the least. And I would be more optimistic if we could get at least a 7% higher monthly close. But now we have even less days to do it in. We just have a couple days to do it. Could happen. Bitcoin can move $10,000 in a single day. So right
These are
now,
monthly candles, Josh.
these are
Monthly
monthly
candles you're
candles.
on.
Yes, monthly
Yeah,
candles. And I'm just going
yeah.
to tell
We
you, I
need to
mean,
open.
if Bitcoin drops from 96,000 to 85,000, your alts are going to get annihilated. We're going to get
Yes.
SUI back to $2.50 potentially.
Yep.
I know nobody wants to hear it, but we got to do the math. We got to do the math.
Fact.
Got to work with price
Yep.
is truth.
There's 601.
Eric Ank,
26.
I didn't make an announcement. I made the announcement on the calls earlier, and I rode them up, and I got out of 80% of my position and was just holding 3 accidentally. Michael made the announcement that he was in calls and he was holding them. So it was there, my friend. I had thought I'd gotten out of them all. Let me see. Where am I at right now? 26% on 3.
So far, we got. Did we hit my target?
Okay, so we officially
Yep.
closed that 15-minute candle above that important level, and now we're climbing higher.
Yeah.
My option prices aren't really accelerating because the momentum is slowing down.
Yeah.
It wouldn't shock me if we came back and bounced off of this yellow. I mean, I might just take this 20%. It could turn to 30, but I think I'm just going to take it.
Could I show my screen a second, Josh?
Yes.
This is the 1 hour, guys. And look what we're pushing up into, all this structure right here that I highlighted.
Yep.
All this back here. This is what we're coming into, and that's probably why we're slowing.
Well, and
All
then to
this.
make Michael's point, thank you, Michael, for showing that. That's one of the reasons
Yep.
why I was saying that if we got above this structure, it would really be bullish.
Yes.
However,
That's
if we fight our way through it and it gets rejected, then it's something like a double top. It's kind of bearish.
yeah, totally agree. And that's this right here would have been a great shoulder, head, and then creating another shoulder here. But I don't think we're going to do that either. If we take as the daily MACD has turned back up.
I am working on some crypto swings. It's just the holiday season, family around, and I'm just moving a little slower. I am going to drop that. Matter of fact, I'm going to be doing something pretty unusual. I'll share it with you guys. I haven't announced it to everybody. I haven't announced it to all my kids. I'm going to put my face up for a moment, Michael. Did you have something more
Go
you wanted
ahead,
to share
brother.
about
I'm
that?
done. Nope. That was
Yeah,
it,
so
man. I just wanted to show that structure.
I'm going to help out my children, and I'm going to swing trade their accounts one at a time. Maybe for 2 weeks, maybe a week. I don't know. I swung traded account from November to mid-December, from 50,000 to 750,000. A pretty big move. I pulled back. I lost about 150,000 of that, and I've slowed down in trading just because I've slowed down in trading.
Yep.
I'm going to take my son's small account and I'm going to trade it for him for 2 weeks. I don't want him
Nice.
to be overly optimistic, thinking he's getting $500,000. I'd probably be more cautious. Probably going to be more cautious because it's his money.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to take my time with my other daughter's son-in-law's account. I'm going to go through them all three at a time, see what I can do for each of them.
Yeah. Nice.
When I go back to doing that here, after we get through the holidays, I'm going to be sharing with you guys my active trades as best I can. It's going to be based on some of the same things I showed you, but you got to know that I want to win. Not competitive. I'm competitive with myself. I'm going to want to, at bare minimum, double my son's account in 2 weeks. That's my own personal goal. But yeah, so get ready for that. It's, that's the next thing I'm doing. I'm going to do it actively as soon as we get through the holidays. And I'm going to do each account. I'll share with you guys the results. I'll share with you guys the starting prices and the end prices. And I hadn't really figured out how long I would do it, whether it just be 2 weeks each, but you guys can go on that journey with me. And a lot of that trading occurs 24 hours a day with crypto. So I could literally get up at 2 a.m., something signals, and I could trade it. I'm going to be giving you guys the general guideline, where it is I'm looking to enter, where it is I'll be looking to exit. That's what I'll be trying to give you guys. So that's one of my next things. A lot of things I'm working on, guys. Should be interesting. I've never traded anybody else's account like that. And if anybody tries to reach you and DM you on Facebook and say, I'm offering to trade your account, you know they're lying. You know they're lying. Ain't
Josh, look at that candle rejection at 6:01:32, brother.
Well, you guys, I sold mine. I locked in my profit. And why did I lock in my profit? I locked it in because I locked in my profit on those 3 calls because it was just slowing down. It went up 30%, came back to 26, went up again, came back to 25%. Even though price was going higher, I was seeing bearish divergence. Michael came out and said, guys, get ready for rejection. We got a huge problem here. We're likely going to see it again. So great call, Michael. Great call. I mean, I got under 110% on the first one, and I got 22% on the second one. And on choppy day. This was a semi-trending day, but look at the difference between this was a real trending day where you've got green candle, the primary part of the day. Here we had green, red, green, red, green, red. That's
and
pretty
that
hard to
chews
trade.
Options up. That's hard on options, like Josh was saying. You don't have any momentum going, so your options sitting there decaying. So that's why
Very
options
quickly.
are better on trending days.
No, you're 100% right, Michael.
Yeah.
Hey, let me know if you guys like Michael joining me in the. I love having Michael join me. Let me know if you guys like Michael joining me in these.
I love it. I love it. I try.
Yeah, the Oklo play has been paying the bills, and I always say the same thing. I haven't dropped a ton of trades, but I gave you guys Oklo. It did everything I told you it would do. Accumulate between 18 and 17, and it's run up. Let me go quickly look at the Oklo chart. And I'm proud of those who took it with me. I mean, damn, it's been a nice runner. I think this is interesting. So let's talk about Oklo real quick. Oklo so remember that my target was 2620, right? Or at least that's significant resistance. We're on the 5-minute chart. Let's go to a higher time frame. Let's go to a 15-minute time frame. Yeah, this thing has been nothing but a winner. Yeah. Actually, this is the exact spot where I signaled it here and said we should be accumulating between 18 and 17. So you should have been buying right down here. Came back, it shot up. This is really like kind of a strangely flagpole, but really we saw the same thing back to back, and we're seeing the same thing today. I'm not saying that we'll reach 2620 today, but 2620 was the soonest that I was thinking of taking any profit. We do have a little resistance right here. I got to think about it. I might trim some, but we're definitely trending higher. Let's go look at the 1 hour and let's look at the MACD. See, the 1 hour looks beautiful. Let's go look at the MACD. perfect example, right? This is a good example of one of the reasons why I called this, right? We had come up, crossed above here on the 1 hour time frame. We came back and tested it here. So there's a little bit of chop here. But really, if this was a buy right here, okay? This was a buy at $18. And the minute it got above the 1 hour histogram zero level, even though, and this is where I used to, when I was a first beginning trader, I used to get shaked out by all this cross above and cross beneath. But you almost want to ignore that, because remember what I told you. If price is largely, that's a lot of noise. If you're above the zero, you're cranking higher and you can see it. This thing also is just, you can see the momentum that's getting built here. Yeah, I'm not selling mine. I would say 2620 to 27 is an area where I might consider selling some. Even that's an area where we could have a huge breakout. But I think this is going higher. The MACD is positive in my eyes. And if we go to a higher time frame of MACD, look at that. It's shooting straight up. 4 hour chart, very, very bullish. Very, very bullish. This is an incredible move. So yeah, we don't even want to think about selling this until we get to some of this historic resistance right here around $26.20 to $27. So Charles making the bank. Charles is doing pretty good in life. He's always winning.
Man. Okay, so we came back on the SPY, retested the 9, and popped back up off of it. I would want to clear 601.30 before taking anything else, if anybody's still in it.
Well, I got no more hidden calls. I sold my 3.
Did pretty good on a choppy day.
Yeah, no, great. And this is very choppy. Every other candle here has been red. Every other candle.
Yeah.
So in general, this looks, I made mention to it, above. So we're officially at, this is what it comes down to. It's 6:31 here, 11:31 East Coast time. And if the 11:30 rule plays out, it means that largely we're not going to see any type of reversal between now and the end of the day, that we're largely going to finish in this general price zone. So we'll see if we can discover today whether or not the 11:30 rule works, and whether or not if we hit an all-time high. Now, how am I defining an all-time high for the day? We're talking about just the day. It's being above the pre-market high by 11:30 a.m. Now, you could see that this 15-minute candle a moment ago pushed us beneath, and so it almost lost that ground. But here we are at exactly 11:32, and we are back above it. So I would say the 11:30 rule proved to be true again. Mike Mullins. Oh, man, I feel you, Mike. I know what that's like. I've been down that road. I will say this, that one of the biggest lessons I've learned in trading crypto or stocks or options is to whittle down my account. If I'm very successful, I've got to pull half out. I got to pull half out because that greed sets in, and I think, well, shoot, with 50,000, I'll make it near $1 million. With $1 million, could I make 10 million? Your mind just begins to go nuts. You got to take it all out and force yourself to try to regrow. You maybe reward yourself with leaving in some more money than you had the first time. But this is how I'm becoming more successful at my level, is forcing myself back to square one. Do it again, Josh. Do it again. Get rid of all this money, put it down under 100,000, do it again. And so, because when you start raising the stakes, you simply raise your ability to lose, and it's not worth it. You start giving back time. My first year of day trading full time was back in 2009. That was when I think it was 2008, 2009. I can't remember. Full time, 24 hours a day, and I had an incredible year. I made $130,000 in my first year. And in the first 2 months of the next year, I lost 60,000 through a bunch of quick decisions. And it's always been the case. The more you win, the more you begin to work with, the bigger potential that you can lose. When I was forced to work with a small account, I was forced to be more consistent. You've got to start cutting your accounts in half. I don't know who this would help, but it's been a big part of my journey. You have any thoughts on that, Michael?
Well, everybody seems to be nice. One guy says they like you trading alone, though. So, sorry,
What's that?
Shane. Shane says he don't like me with you.
Well, you'll get Michael
It'd be
by
all
himself too.
right. I think it was me being with you, brother. I think taking your account size. I tell people this all the time in my life. If you're you don't have to. Don't leave 20K in an options trading account. Don't do it. Start small, and when you start getting consistent, take just a couple thousand. That's enough to trade every day and make good gains. And then at the end of that month, cut it back down. If you've been consistent, you've had a winning month, you turn that 2K to 4K, get right back down to 2K. That way you don't start getting tempted to go in heavy. That's where that will burn you. It will absolutely burn you till you're super seasoned, to maybe until you're on a really high level. I think it takes the greed away more.
Yeah, you're never going to shake your greed. I'll tell you the way I'm shaking my greed is I had heard a great quote the other day, and I feel like I'll butcher it trying to retell it today. But basically, it had to do with giving money away. It's like the only way to combat your greed was ultimately the conclusion of the quote. And I need to have more reasons to trade than just becoming wealthy. I need to have something like a higher calling at this point, something to motivate me. And that's my wife and I are looking very closely at, building a non-for-profit, but we don't know what we're doing there yet. So we want to work with other successful non-for-profit organizations. But I need to trade for something like that to get me to push and stretch myself. Because
Yeah.
just the money alone isn't going to get me to do what I need to do. All right, so we're looking at PRZO, and I like this chart a lot. I don't dislike this chart at all. It needs to kind of break above this previous high right here. So it needs to get above this. We'll say 250. So above 250, this thing is going to become a rocket ship. I think right now we had this massive move up on PRZO from the last time it moved was $1.38. I mentioned previously the next buy zone for me was $1.80. We weren't there very long, guys. We weren't there very long. It doesn't mean that we're going to shoot above right now. Right now, price is sitting at equilibrium. This would be the third time that it's tested this range. It wouldn't shock me if we made another move like this. But in general, I'm bullish on PRZO. This has been one to accumulate. We're consistently above the, this is the 1 hour chart. This is the 20. Let me see what this is. That's the 200. So we're bullish. Let's look at the MACD on this real quick. Seen some volatility. It's obviously a penny stock. It's way more volatile. Let's go to the 4 hour. Yeah. So you look at that higher time frame, and it's got more volatility on the 1 hour. But we're just crossing up right now again. And the last time we crossed up here, we got this move from $1.40 to $3. We're crossing up again right now. If this holds, this could get me to my next target, which has been around this $4 to $4.50 range. PRZO looks fine. And I just keep it simple, and I don't want to say it the wrong way, but I mentioned 115 as a buy. I mentioned 138 as a buy. I mentioned 180 as a buy. If everybody keeps buying where I'm telling you that it's a decent buy, I don't see why this won't end up being a big win for everybody. It doesn't mean it's without risk. I don't control the stock price. I'm in the risk position just like you guys. But so far, from the day that I started covering PRZO till now, it's been doing what I hoped it would do. So PRZO is a hold. The last buy alert that I mentioned on the show was at $1.80. It hit that and bounced. We now need to stay above that. I mean, and let's think, and where did I come up with that? This isn't like, I'm not like, reinventing the wheel. This was previous resistance was $1.80. We got above it. What we wanted to see for the stock to remain strong was for us to come back and bounce off of it, making resistance support. This is just classic charting. Now, if we tested it 2 times, actually, we bounced 2 times off of it. So we're doing pretty good. As soon as we break above $2.50, this could be a $4 stock. That's my general view. We are losing momentum, which is normal, right? We are losing momentum. But if we actually broke above this momentum level and regained momentum, then we'd be definitely a $4 stock on this, which would be one heck of a move for us, for a one I called at 60 cents in less than a month. So we'll see how it turns out. We also have, I see another pattern we'll take a minute to study. This is like a little class, long class, 2-hour class.
Yeah. It's a great class.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Mike.
Absolutely.
All right. So
every day.
The other pattern that I see here, let's get rid of everything, is I see that we're in a channel. Let's go define that channel real quick. All right, let's define it. Yeah, so a channel gets confirmed by 2 touches at the top and 2 touches at the bottom. I would say at bare minimum that defines our channel. This is the other interesting thing is, and it's really simple because the market works like in halves. You got your bull half and your bear half. Technically, we're in our bear half right now. So right now we're in an uptrend that the bears are currently pushing back. The minute we get above the middle of this ascending channel, that's when we can have a very powerful move because the bears will have lost all influence and control, and that's where we can push up to this $4.11, making a new 52-week high. So, yeah, that's why you're going to watch this $2.50 very carefully. You're going to watch the middle of this trend line very carefully, because the minute we get over that, it's going to be a rocket ship move up to around 410. And another way of looking at that is this. I haven't taken any profits because I just was more patient with this. But, this is also a great area to sell. If we come up and hit the top of this channel, then we could end up doing this. We could end up making these areas that are resistance, this 260, which was resistance, we'd want to come back and see that as support later on. That's if the trend continues. So be aware if you're holding PRZO, don't be like some of these guys that just hold and hold and hold. If we hit the top of this channel, lock in 80, 60% of your gains, and then consider rebuying on the bottom of the channel. SPY is moving. Let's go check out the SPY.
Yeah, there went SPY. There's a big volume bar we're coming into at 602 also on a fixed range. I wouldn't be surprised one bit to get some hard rejection.
Well, yeah, I mean, we did exactly, seeing what happens in the charts and trading it profitably. Those are 2 different things. I talked about it from the very beginning of the morning that we had this crazy wick test at the bottom of pre-market, that we would likely go back up and test the top of pre-market. We did that. And then I said to you guys, if we could close a 15-minute candle above pre-market, that we would likely come back and test this range. That's all come to pass, exactly as predicted. I traded it, made 110%, made 21%. probably leaving 80% on the table right now. But didn't know when I would get off. If I were sitting here by myself and I didn't have anybody in the house, I'd probably be in this right now. But yeah, it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day.
Yep.
Charles has got to give it a day, and if Charles has got to go, then maybe we got to go. All right, I'm going to leave it. Thank you, Michael, for joining me. Thank you guys for joining me. If you didn't hit the like and you're in here, hit the like, because I like to know how many people are showing up for these live trade sessions. This was a good one, a little bit long. We made some money. We're going to do it again. We do it every week. Not every time is going to be a winner. Sometimes I make mistakes. Sometimes I get some bias in my head. And today we followed the candles. We followed the price action, and it made us some money. And we'll do it again this week. Love you guys. Have a wonderful Christmas remainder to your week. Hopefully you get some days off and some rest. It pains me when I go into like a coffee shop and people are in there working, but I feel like I'm part of the problem because I'm buying the coffee. Everybody needs a little time off, don't they, Michael?
Everybody needs a little time off, man. I totally agree with that. And Merry Christmas to everybody. I hope everybody had a great Christmas. See you soon.
Merry Christmas, guys. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
See you.
Thank you, Michael.